is cardinal in this country. I've been the lead committee chair. This bill was sent to us on harmful practices to look at it and try to remove it from our system. And our focus is on FGM, and we were able to give our first report because plenary gave an instruction that we report in 2 weeks. So we worked very hard meeting civil society, traditional leaders, and opinion leaders, the justice minister, the gender minister, health minister, and the rest of the team, to hear from them how cardinal is this bill to every one of us. And the committee did well. We were able to give our report. We firstly look at it that we cannot treat our country like harmful practices. We were able to come up with a name, changing the name of the bill to say the Women and Children Protection Act. So it was brought to plenary. You listen to the feedback from our colleagues. Some are in favor, especially both of them are saying that they need to go consult their constituents, which we said, the only thing we said in the bill was the committee members and the county that practice it. But it's left for plenary, whatever decision they made, we still going to follow it, that the committee go back and do more work, and that also there'll be more public hearing, and also that the committee make sure that every 73 members go for consultation in the various districts and come back with a report to us to give our informed position to pass the bill. But let me tell you, I've been a survivor of FGM, and when you tie in it to LGBTQI and gay rights and other things, it baffles me, because the issue of gay rights, there is no one refusing to pass the law. Bring your law on the floor. I am a survivor of FGM, and I know what, as a woman, we have gone through. Even some of the men are saying, they normally say we don't date women that John Sunny. That's what they say to us. They come from there. Some of them, their children, their wives are not even members. But because they come to make this thing because they want to vote for our traditional leader, the bill is good. What we want is, let the traditional leader likelihood be inclusive in the bill. Let it be improved. What is the alternative likelihoods you're going to give them? It's just to open a Sunday and then the men go and collect the money, or the internal affair inspector go and collect the money from them, and they for our culture. It means take away the culting, take away the FGM part, and make sure that our culture stays a bit unique, that even me will be happy to take my girls' children. So I said, because I'm a lawmaker, or they are lawmaker, they're able to protect their children. So they come and say, oh, our culture, nobody's stopping our culture, nobody going against our culture. It hurts my heart, because being a survivor of FGM and seeing how much more is made out of us every day, then people come and sit and make it look like they so care about our culture. It's saddening. It hurts my heart. I know that what we go through every day. So what we're saying to our citizens, what we're saying to our traditional leader, the intent of this bill is not to stop our culture. The intent is, we are in a modern world. We sit on the Security Council. We're making major decisions. We have to take away. Our constitution is clear. We should do the best practice of our culture and remove the harmful part. So that is why our consideration and our focus right now is. And I say thank you to plenary. It was great. The reception on the floor, some was very, very supportive. And we look to it that plenary, and then even the speaker and the deputy speaker will use their leadership, that as our colleagues are demanding that they go for hearing to their constituents, which is very important in the process, is the people that elected us. So any major decision we are going to make in favor, or even if people feel it's against them, we must be able to go back to them and convince them. Why is it that we're doing this? And it is, and it bothers me when people think that it's worsening culture. No, it's not. You got Gambia, you got Malawi, you got Nigeria is even trying to work on their own. You got Kenya. They are stopped FG, and they still have their culture. They still initiate girls to teach them how to cook, how to sing, how to take care of the home, how to take care of the husband, how to speak in public, how to talk to elders. So those things need to be enshrined in it too. It's still there. Our culture is unique. But does it mean that when you don't cut me, then it means my culture is not fine or it's not beautiful? Does it mean that when you don't inflict pains on females or on children, on babies, it means that our culture is not unique? So why should we always think about inflicting pains on the women, then it means that our culture is okay? And in fact, the men that are saying that, oh, we're interested in the culture, they're not carrying their children there. Bring your girl child, bring your wife, bring your sisters. Let me take them, let me initiate them. Then I know you love our culture. But we're not standing, we're not turning back. Our advocacy for FGM, female genital mutilation, to stop in this country, we will not stop. Until this law is passed and our women and children are protected, we will stand firm, we will stand up, because I am a veteran and I know what it takes to be part of this. And this will not happen because I have 7 girls that will not initiate and not become a lawmaker and can protect them. What happened to the little girls that are walking, that is forcibly initiated? What happened to them? We must protect everybody. And everybody's business must be our business.
Okay, Honorable, what do you make of a proposition from some who consider themselves as educated traditionalists? For they call for medicalized FGM. That is the process of FGM being done by medical practitioners, and then it being modified in a way that people are not forced to do that, and that certain age, that is a legal age in Liberia, must consent to do that voluntarily before that being done. So these are some of the modifications that some educated traditionalists are proposing. What do you make of this?
So the first thing, if you say traditional and then you are still saying, must we still have this part? Is it the only part that made our culture and tradition unique? For me, as lead chair on this committee, I'm convinced that remove FGM. Okay. Remove FGM from part of our culture and make sure our uniqueness of our culture be applied to everybody. That's what I want. And maybe suggestion from other colleagues, when they go to their constituents, they will come back, they will give us the report. But the committee...
3 roll call. 4 reading and adoption of the agenda. 5 unfinished business. 6 reports from standing committees. A. Report from the joint committee comprising the committees on public corporations and judiciary, human rights claims and petitions on the Liberia Sea and Inland Ports decentralization and modernization act, unquote. B. Report from the joint committee comprising the committees on public corporations and judiciary, human rights claims and petitions on the Liberia Sea and Inland Ports Regulatory Act of 2025. C. Report from the joint committee comprising the committees on labor and judiciary, human rights claims and petitions on an act to amend Chapter 22, Social Security of the Decent Work Act of 2015 to provide for equitable compensation across the board for employees upon retirement, unquote. D. Report from the joint committee comprising the committees on Ways, Means, Finance, and Budget, and Education and Public Administration, unquote, and I to ratify the financing agreement between the Republic of Liberia and International Development Association, RDA, Program for Advancing Youth Entrepreneurship Investment by Project A and Liberian Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank, unquote. E. Report from the Committee on Lands and Mines on the confirmation hearing of Honorable Aaron Matonake Timba, Minister Designate of the Ministry of Mines and Energy. F. Report from the Committee on Lands and Mines on the confirmation hearing of Honorable Sumo Samuel Momolu, Assistant Minister for Mines Designate, the Ministry of Mines and Energy. G. Report from the Committee on Lands and Mines on the confirmation hearing of Honorable Samuel J. Somerville, Assistant Minister for Mineral Exploration Designate of the Ministry of Mines and Energy. H. Report from the Committee on Internal Affairs, Governance and Reconciliation on the confirmation hearing of Honorable Fatima Binta Salih, Deputy Minister for Urban Affairs Designate of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. 7. Business on President's Day. A. Communication from the President of Liberia on nomination made in government. B. Communication from the President of Liberia submitting the following instrument for enactment. Quote, Alternative Dispute Resolution Act of 2025. Unquote. C. Communication from the President of Liberia submitting the following instruments for enactment. 1. The Bank Financial Institutions and Bank Financial Holding Companies Act of 2025. And 2. An Act to amend Title 30 Public Authorities Law, Liberian Codes of Law revised to establish the Liberian Insurances Commission. Unquote. D. Communication from Senator Joseph K. Jala of Lufa County submitting a bill for an act to transform the Zozo Rural Teacher Training Institute ZRTR into Zozo College of Education, the Junior College of Education in Lufa County, today for second reading. 8 AOB and 9 adjournment. By the President pro tempore and presiding officer, the reading of the provisional agenda for today's session.
Distinguished audience, you've heard the reading for the agenda for today's sitting. What is the word of pleasure? Senator Jala.
I will move, if I can get seconded, the agenda just read, be received and open for discussion. So second.
It has been moved and seconded that the agenda be open for discussion. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say yea. Any intervention? Senator Snow.
Thank you, Madam Pro-Tem. Madam Pro-Tem, I have a major AOB, and my willingness to be that one AOB will be, the suggestion will be that force directly on this from the President's desk. And that happens to do with the persistent threat and insults and continue to receive from agents of the executive in the discharge of our teachers. Madam Pro-Tem,
No. Oh, you didn't mention it already?
the persistent insult from agents of the executive, please come on business on President's desk.
After communication from the President. Senator Chair.
Yeah, within the rules, I would like for item number H, 6 days to be prepared for next sitting. So I have a commission here, giving out time to the rules.
Yeah.
The conversation hearing.
Yeah. No, that are rules. You can.
That's their report.
Motion to adopt the agenda. All in favor say yea. Against? Special Assembly. Those are against objection.
I'm not saying no, but we need to remove that.
Okay. No worry about it. They said I didn't see the report, nobody objected to that.
Business of President's text. Communication from President of Liberia on nomination made in Republic of Liberia. The President. November 14, 2025. Senator Yomili Kanga Lawrence, President pro tempore of the Liberian Senate. In section. Capitol Building, Monrovia, Liberia. Madam President pro tempore, I am pleased to submit herewith the following nomination, pending Senate confirmation for appointment in government. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Ethel Davis, Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs. I would greatly appreciate if this is given expedited confirmation by the Senate, so as to ensure smooth transition in the government. Kind regards, sincerely, Joseph Newman Boaka Sr., President of the Republic of Liberia. First communication for nomination.
Distinguished colleagues, you heard the reading of the communication from the President of the Republic of Liberia nominating Pastor Ethel Davis to the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs position. What is your impression? Senator Chief.
I will listen to the reading of the communication for the President, making nomination to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I move that the communication be received and forwarded to the Committee on Foreign Affairs to report to plenary upon the deliberation.
Whoever is taking the motion, are you ready to vote? All in favor say yes.
Business of President's text. Communication from the President of Liberia submitting the following instrument for enactment. Alternative Dispute Resolution Item 2025. Republic of Liberia, the President. November 13, 2025. Senator Yomili Kanga Lawrence, President pro tempore of the Senate, Capitol Building, Monrovia, Liberia. Dear Madam pro tempore, I am pleased to submit for the current consideration in the enactment of the Honorable Legislature the proposed bill entitled the Alternative Dispute Resolution Act of 2025. This legislation establishes a comprehensive legal framework to promote the fair, efficient, and cost-effective resolution of both commercial and non-commercial disputes through recognized alternative dispute resolution (ADR) mechanisms, including arbitration, mediation, conciliation, and negotiation. The bill harmonizes and incorporates relevant provisions from existing Liberian laws, specifically Chapter 7, Commercial Arbitration of the Liberian Commercial Code, Chapter 7 of the Liberian Code of Laws revised, Article 64, Arbitration, Title 1 of the Civil Procedure Law, the Liberian Code of Laws revised, and the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, the CITRA, the Model Law on International Commercial Arbitration of 1985 as amended.
I complain from the street about official.
Move it. With that clear, I will vote. All in favor say yea. Against? Nobody put that? Nobody put that for the cover. All in favor say yea. Against?
As usual, to your breakfast info component program, the morning ride that takes you on critical national issues as well as global issues on this wonderful day. It promises to be great and very stimulating as we walk the walk and talk the talk, and as usual help to shift the paradigm of our democracy. What a fear, what a favor on the looted truth I said on this platform. The very hard truth I said on this platform. This is how I would like to welcome you from across the world. Based on your timeline, we usually say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you watching us on Cool 91.9, Cool YouTube channel, Cool Radio Online, following us as well, and Cool 91.9 folks. Welcome. It's going to be good this morning. You know, there are a whole lot of things we're going to talk about today. And I want you to sit relax and listen to some of the things. We're going to start up like this. Listen to the folks that some of you normally kill yourselves for. Some of you who have created animosities for these people. And if you normally look at the House of Representatives, you will notice that we know there are to be 73 members representing the 73 districts in our country. But if you look, you see regularly a lot of ghost seats, meaning empty seats, where the people are. Sometimes the people who elected them in the district they represent, don't even know the whereabouts. A lot of them travel out of Liberia with all even writing planner or the leadership. So I'm traveling on medical leave, I'm traveling on behalf of my district, I have this engagement, whatsoever. And these people, they leave. Sometimes 2-3 months, they are bored. They're on the social media following what happened in Liberia and making comments. And they got a foot soldier back home who also will be making comments. You know, and don't know how to address issue. You know, somebody having missteps and you join a person to follow missteps and you think you're protecting somebody. That is below par. When I see these things happening from people who support whatever, oh, you gotta have a thick skin, you gotta know how to respond. Because sometimes when you respond to issues, you're not careful, the person you think you want to defend, you will drag them under the bus. And sometimes some of these leaders, you sit in Washington, you see people fighting for you. At times, people are destroying you. We have seen these things, have these actions from people that have destroyed potential leaders. People who were doing extremely well, but people who were around, you know, that behavior of, you think that this person, your leader, is so infallible. You can't make a mistake. So when somebody says something, you think you can then grab it. You think you respond to almost everybody. You got to take that in the scripture. The social media, the way we see it, it's been abused. You see people, they come about insults. They come about pictures. Listen to the kind of people. Even some of the lawmakers who are so serious and focused, majority of the folks there might not even know the purpose why they are there. You wake up from where you sit, you go into the other side, empty seats all around. You sit in the other seat, you saw another empty seat, you jump from there, you go, you sit there. But these are the folks who want power. They're talking about 2029, they're fighting among themselves. Now it's all in the 73 districts. Some of them who are currently represented thinking about being senator, you see, then a colleague too from the same country are fighting. How do you focus on national development? How do you focus on your cabinet function when you're so worried about the election? You're so worried about who will replace you. You're so worried about, who deny you and all of these things. The electrics are not mad people. They'll see your workings. You don't need to worry. Get the jobs up. Your 3 cabinet function: lawmaking, oversight, representation. Those things will prove itself. But when you start to worry on the election, and you're looking for who against, who's saying this, and how you respond to this, and all of these things. We know there are some issues you have to respond to, but the manner and form in which you respond, at times, they open Pandora box. We're seeing that in Bond County now. Representative Marvin Cole, Senator Prince Boyd last time around, they were outside of Liberia saying they went for reconciliation. They left the people who they divided. And Marvin Cole stood over there saying, once they have reconciled today, anything that Senator Moyle is going for, he will go with him. Today, it has changed around. They came back, yet to have a reconciliation from the people. They are opening Pandora box. Lawmakers are arguing to discuss critical national issues. Everybody, already, you got 10, 15, 20% putting their hands up. But when they're having family meeting or when they're having meeting in the district, when 2, 3 persons want to talk at the same time, they bring their position up. But when they go to the place and have their kindergarten children, nobody should talk about it. The people who you go to represent, when you are having gathering for them to go and speak, you got problem with them. You won't be selective looking among them because the critical voices you want to silence them. We're seeing here with the national, with the government. And then when you listen to them for some time, then you get to know. Listen to your lawmaker.
Report from Standing Committee.
Expressing those concerns, we talk about the use of diplomatic passport from aircraft, displaying the diplomatic passport, put on social media. And I was insulted by 2 officials of government. The one in the airways, the one in the papers, they insulted me for providing or expressing my concern. I went on the talk show and I stated that I want this government to be a one-term government. It became a crime. The Minister of Information dropped up a statement and accused me of trying to destabilize the country and prevent investors from coming to this country. I complained formally to the Senate, and the Senate leadership took cease of the matter, and I'm still looking forward to a resolution based on the discussion out there. Last session, I wrote a letter to this plenary that it is alleged that a gambling center has been opened at ERBC. The Director General of ERBC in his response went to the social media and ranged insult this time not just on me, but even on the Senate. Questioning the Senate, insulting me went on. That happened to other senators. I'll use one other example so I won't hijack the floor. Senator Dallas Dillon has been talking about the issue of work permit. In response, the Minister of Labor went to the Ministry of Information on the government platform and said he was nominated by the President to be Minister of Justice, and that Senator Dallas Dillon opposed, rejected that nomination, and that's how he became Minister of Labor. He didn't start the social group, which is not that important. But in his own political party that he chairs, he gave a formal statement accusing Senator Dillon of attacking Liberians. He accused Senator Dillon of attributing to his death.
But, you know, since the national draft budget was submitted by the executive, there are a lot of scrutinies, criticism, and there are folks from all sides of the divide who have spoken their minds on it. Even ordinary citizens have done so, civil society grouping, people from the opposition, people in the government. They have spoken, some have said it's unrealistic. It's a budget to steal show, like in the words of the CNC political leader, Musa Hassan Belete. It's the figure, it's just tea show. Sima Fremont, a couple of days, also have it weigh in on the budget. So, you know, the state will not cover priority issues. The CDC also issued a strong statement. What are some of the statements? But while you are following the broadcast this morning, you have the chance to win for yourself 4,000 by playing the radio entertainment cool cash giveaway. Trust me, before the show comes on, even 3-4 person can win 4,000. But as you enjoy the show, you still can go home with a smile, and you can buy star 799 star 11 hash, $100 $1,000 or 7 cents in the US. You play multiple times, I think 2 times, 3 times. You stand a chance when your number pop in, will certainly call you and send your money. But back. So, you know, Senator Amar Conan is a former Minister of Finance. So, he has sat in that position. And don't forget, he was one of those persons who massively brought this government to being. And at times, I criticized this government, not the fact that he comes from the government, or he brought this government to power, but being part and parcel of the agenda that brought this government in fighting for the people. Because you see our society, to be honest, I will say something today. We are not realistic. We are not truthful. You know, every time you're in a society, you're in an organization, in an institution, when you speak issues, people will have issues with you. And people think that you're being bought, you're being used. Because you come from the ruling party and you see something that contradicts the agenda. When you speak it, everybody wants to look at you the way they want to look at you. And these things, at times, you have to hold your ground. So, Honorable Amar Conan, a former finance minister and currently senator of Babulu County, he said they owe 1.2 billion. The budget submitted. They contradict President Barker's developmental agenda. And there are areas of focus some of the folks are asking. But there are other folks who are saying, look, this is a draft national budget. Can we take our time and look at it and then to preempt and start to conclude, although we have already. But the CDC have said this budget should return to the executive to do an overhaul because it's unrealistic. This is not a budget. They should reject it. They should send it right back to the executive. Honorable Amar Conan right out, he said the draft national budget is historical for the first time to see us crossing $1 billion in the history of our country that has been submitted to the national ledger. And people from some folks on the ruling party they see this as a growth. They see economic stability, transformation under the Bokale arrest agenda for inclusive development. But the former finance minister say the budget is politically symbolic but structurally contradictory. That's what he said. The budget is politically symbolic. It's more political, but when you look at it structurally, it's contradictory. Because areas of priorities, areas that they campaign massively on. For some of them who have critiqued this budget, they draft budget, things that the government, what they presented. But in his word, he said this milestone symbolizes fiscal expansion and growing confidence in public financial management. But the fiscal year 2026 national draft budget revealed initial contradiction that threaten its credibility and development impact. So, in his own word, he said the 2026 national draft budget should go beyond incremental increases and align strategically with the AARD priorities. We risk spending more but achieving less. That's his analysis. We risk spending more and achieving less. Now, he pointed to some error. Take for instance, he said you got more than half of the AARD sector spending US $330 million comes from development partners. That's troubling according to them. External financing now exceeds domestic commitment. We cannot afford to let donors drive our national priorities. So in the draft national budget, he sees that the government capture more in terms of donor funding and other folks who want to give support to the budget, other than looking at domestic revenue and prioritizing our developmental priorities. We talk about roads, we talk about infrastructure, electricity, water, we talk about school health. And there are concerns that have been raised of EPS and NSA, what they allocated for them. What is sole purpose? Are we a threat? What are we having so much money allocated? Combined with referral hospitals taking and match them. What are some of the jobs they are so much doing that we need to know? So, and he said, despite the government promises to invest in people, evidence suggests otherwise. The health sector got US 101.7 million total. Only 19, according to them, 19.37 per person, 5 below global minimum threshold and deeply uneven across counties. In the budget, much rather NEMA receive over $6 per person in the budget. I mean, they do the calculation, everything. While Bapolu, Bombing, Sino, and Grand Bassa get less than 50. And he said this deeply national inequalities. That's why the educator sector got 132.9 million. And the growth is 12%, but still below the overall budget of 18. Because you know, they say 80% of our national budget, we signed to that, should go toward education. But we stay around 12%. But he sees that as a growth, but yet it's still below So, he said over 60% goes to the University of Liberia and Peru, leaving the rural school striving. Early childhood education gets 20,000. Schools in many rural counties get less than 100,000. You see, so he did his analysis. He broke it down. He said social development services appear to be the only sector with negative growth. And this is where he said we saw disabled Liberians blocking traffic to demand help. The budget offers them nothing new. I've been talking about that on so many occasions. A lot of you can attest to that. The senator added that he finds it strange that the security spending more than education and health. Security institution got 151.8 million, a 38% jump in just 2 years. A man who brought this government to power. You see, this is where we call people who are truthful. Not people who sit in political parties because your government in power and you don't speak truth to power. You don't respectfully disagree with your government. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, in America, they voted over 1 million people for the Republican, the Democrat, that they released all of the information, all of the interaction that everybody had with the sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, with Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, there are a lot of other folks who interacted with him. They are asking them they should release the document. The party did not go to defend him. When we will see that in Liberia? When? In this country, soon somebody, you become the person in this party, by the time you speak, you get all type of people on the social media going for you, going for your family. But you all want to see it happening in other countries, but it don't happen here. But I plan to deal with every one of you this time. Until you people can change, I want to know. I just don't want, I don't want to know right now. Liberia must change. And when Liberia gets better for all of us, you can be having people who are sycophants. Now, so they are asking, he said we are expanding enforcement faster than fundamental services, than foundational services. And that's why he said, Liberia does not need a bigger security sector, but a smarter, more efficient one that we can augment the salary. We don't need large folks. We are peaceful people without going to war. We can equip them and have them smart enough to detect that something is about to happen and get it ready. So he highlighted that the payroll and SOE underperform. Despite stable civil service staffing, payroll jumps to US 13.4 million. You talk about LEC, NPA, LWSE, show little contribution to national revenue, and these are income generating institutions. So Amara is not saying these institutions show little contribution to the national budget. Then we depending on donor funding, we depending on international, we depending to get loan grants and all of these things. You know. So he pointed, he said we need accountability. A national budget that ignores SOE revenue is incomplete. And according to him, it should be a people-centered budget. But his colleague, former finance minister and current finance minister, Augustin Gapoin, have insisted that the draft budget is not just historic, but transformative. He said we have delivered a budget that reflects the fiscal discipline, revenue growth, and national priorities. This budget puts people first. how, and they went on to talk. So these are some of the areas, and they are talking and arguing on these things and looking at it. You know, civil society leaders have all looked at the draft national budget. But here is what the CDC also issued a statement. And this is what they said in the statement release. The CDC had urged that they propose over the US 1.2 billion budget relies on questionable revenue assumptions that expose the country to serious fiscal risks. That's what the CDC said. He said the current budget, they owe 1.2 billion budget, draft national budget, relies on questionable revenue assumption. Questionable, where do we get the money from? And I expose the country to serious fiscal risks. He said that the document prioritizes political comfort over national development, warning that it rescues politicians, not the people. So the CDC said the internal review indicates that the draft budget relies heavily on volatile and non-recurring revenue streams, including the disputed 200 million Asala Liberia signature bonus and unspecified asset recovery process. Without these uncertain inflows, the party said Liberia core domestic revenue is approximately US 940 million. They telling you that that's it. Only a slight increase over the last year performance. The party argued that basing major national program on revenue that may never materialize put Liberia on a dangerously unstable footing. You see? They said in a statement that they further question the 281 million for public sector investment plan, stating that it relies almost entirely on Asala Media signature bonus. Asala Media got 200 million, then they can go below for the 80 million, whose payment timeline remains unclear. So the CDC issued a statement regarding the wage bill. The CDC noted that although the draft budget lists US 320 million for the for compensation, that's salary now, for compensation, the total rises to about 352 million when a new US 26 million allocation, labor, other compensation is included. So the party is now requesting an expansion about who received this money, which institutions are covered, and why it is listed outside the regular compensation framework. Despite wage increase, the CDC noted that the frontline workers, including teachers, nurses, midwives, security personnel, have not seen any salary improvements. We listened to Honorable Simon Freeman, so they're now asking that this budget should be sent right back to the executive to do an overhaul. They said they have critiqued the draft budget and calling it unrealistic and hazardous, and urging the legislature to immediately send it back to the executive for a complete overhaul. And you listen to Honorable Amar Khan, he comes from the power that be. But this is what he had to say, all of these things. And people are asking, why are we increasing security budget? And he's recommending that we don't need a large, but we need a smart, efficient, well paid. You know. But this also, folks are saying, this is a draft. Can we look into it? Can we look at areas of priorities and say, look, we can look from this place, take this from this place, and put this here, increase this. Then look at priorities. What are we prioritizing right now? Can we take this thing from this place and put it here, and just look at it? But to see the draft budget and see that people which are criticized are all making some recommendation, because in American, of all the folks who have noticed, American criticism or his scrutiny of the budget, he seems to look at it in a way that if care is not taken, it will just be a political, symbolic budget, but will not meet the needs of the people. And this will be a serious problem. Why the CDC say the over 1.2 billion relies on questionable revenue assumption that expose the country to serious fiscal risks. And people are asking, when you went to 800 million some years back, you celebrated and later we were told budget shortfall. And these are projections. So people are asking, the whole government is mindful of the projection, because celebrating the 1.2 billion is welcoming, the pronouncement is welcoming. But as to why we will achieve this, are we realistic to this? Are we honest? Will we achieve it? Or this is something that tomorrow we will say, oh, but he asked a very serious question. I'm not going to ask a very serious question. He pointed at income generating institutions in the country. Why are they contributing so little to the national budget? Why? He talked about the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. He talked about the National Port Authority. He talked about the Liberia Electricity Corporation. You know? And Senator Amakwane now is saying, Senator DeLore is saying, he agrees with Senator Conan. And now they say on the budget. Now they talk about, this is why he said we have delivered a budget that reflects fiscal discipline, revenue growth, national priorities. This budget puts people first. Our Minister Lafayette said. But there are people who are now talking about this issue about agriculture, rural infrastructure spending, county development funds. But $1 billion budget means nothing if children sit on broken chairs in classroom and hospital like medicine. Member of the House of Representatives added, we cannot celebrate numbers why the countryside collapses under neglect that was meant to correct the imbalance of the past. Yeah. You know, I say this to say, you know, when Councillor Kanye Bagbada, who was the spokesperson of the CDC, that balanced this argument, wrote, and some of the colleagues, that the CDC should see the party beyond former President George Weah in 2029. They got insulted. Oh, that job you're looking for. Because this country is not real while you sit and speak up. Even though you will not even be respectful, but when you speak up, it becomes issue. People see you as the bad person, they see you as somebody who they're respectful, they see you as the evil person, they see you, oh, you're taking, you know, that people using you in the process, all of these things. And some civil society leaders now saying the budget is Monrovia center, security headed, and socially swallowed. It strengthens power. It does not burden, burden opportunity. So this is where we are. The former finance minister, he didn't just criticize, he offered roadmap. Despite the criticism, he noted that the government still has time to allow the budget with the AARD pilots, commit more domestic funding to health education, enforce SOE revenue contribution, and honor the 25% procurement law for Liberian businesses. You know, to empower them. And not just to say that you criticize. Being a former finance minister, he understands the figures. He understands the numbers. So criticism should come with recommendation, should come with roadmap. That when government fails to do it, you are on record for that. And not just because you're in opposition, you just get a louder voice and just talk or just criticize. Because this is something, and that's why he said in this, you still have time, because this is a draft. But we have listened to, and read how people have concluded as though this budget has already been passed. No. And that's why you must criticize and keep their feet to the fire and do the kind of a recommendation. Because sometimes you talk about the disabled community. When some of you were in power, what did you do for the disabled community? There is no justification that this government can do because they said they came to rescue. But we've got to be honest with the debate. Schools were lying in ruins. And they said, our teachers, our police officers, our nurses, our doctors, midwives, they are still crying. The roads are still bad. Though there are strikes, the previous government did halt. There were areas you were able to focus, you help. And we expect government to continue. We expect this government to continue. And we put aside excuses. You said you could do it. That's why you were given a chance to do it. So do it without complaint. But we must be able, when it comes to national development, we unite on one front. Then we have seen what happened in the United States. The Democrats did not say because Donald Trump and the president and his name involved into sex business and criminal investigation, so we will shoot him. No. The people voted in a way that I think only one person will order it. And he can't do nothing about it. And that's the democracy that we always want to emulate. But we can't walk in the footsteps like that. We were told by the Liberian National Revenue Authority that our domestic revenue has increased because of the awareness, the education, to folks to pay taxes, so they are contributing. Then people asked, why say that? The MP, you see, they say the gateway to the national economy will contribute little. Liberia Electricity Corporation, Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation, and a whole lot. And so, Honorable Connor is calling for accountability. He did not say, let me remain taciturn, but this is the government I brought here. And he said, he was honest. He said the fiscal year, the 2026 national draft budget in the AARD, there are some key areas. Agriculture receives increased investment. We know funds for key infrastructure projects, especially roads, some progress on decentralization of capital spending, and a stronger country development allocation, which allocate some money. Listen to Senator Moore just the other time, they're talking about 80-some million getting from the World Bank and other partners for the Senate, to have 500,000 to each district to make sure, for infrastructure, all of the schools to make sure that they're running good, they're up to speed, and all of these things. Going to take about 50 years, to pay back and all of these things. But this burden now before the national legislature. This budget delivered, this draft national budget delivered before them, the determination, the power to properly scrutinize it, or the power to send it back to the executive to redo or to overhaul, is before then now. Because this is Liberia's first $1 billion national draft budget. And if we can achieve it, it becomes the turning point. But if we don't, it could be a missed opportunity. And somebody said we should not celebrate fever. We should not celebrate pronouncement. We celebrated pronouncement when we reached 800 and some million. During the CDC-led government, celebration took over. For the first time. For the first time. But at the end of the day, we saw people stay protesting. We have a budget surplus. But yet, people went on to protest. We don't want to have these same mistakes. That we fall below the 1.2 billion. We can't hang around 900 million. We come to 800 and some million again. Because you see that projection, but you have to be mindful and know that this area, because getting to these figures, it's not any small thing. We have not gotten there before, but to see us there, it's welcoming, but it should be realistic, and it should not be a political budget to ease the tension on the huge criticism on the government that you have not done well in your 2 years, so you think that you need to push to the people by bringing a figure that you will not have the chance to achieve. Yes. Yesterday we said it to other folks, we turned to the bad people. But this is it. Liberian businesses are struggling. We need more money into the private sector for investment. We got a law that states 25% of our budget. We got a law that states 18% of our budget should go to education. We have fought that thing over the years, from the early time to the former President George Weah to President Baka. We still fighting to reach that 18. Though we gradually increase it, but it has taken all too long. We got $1 billion investment in the country, but our budget can go billion. How can people be extracting $1 billion worth of our mineral from the country, and we stay hanging around 800 million, 900 million? Then at the end of the day, we say, oh, budget shortfall. But these people are extracting, and investment increasing every day outside the manufacturing. The folks are moving on. But we that have all of the resources, we can reconcile rich people or a rich country and poor people. How do we reconcile these words? So, folks, this is the People's Program, and this is the morning ride. And we certainly here this wonderful, wonderful day. You know, Chris Point in the air. Chris Point in the air. Let me take this break and be right back this morning.
Of the Johnson, that he doesn't like the values. That which I consider a threat to his person, to his life. My approach him, if these actions of agents of the executive and state actors go unnoticed, today, it might be every slow as an opposition, a proud opposition. But what about the law? Who's over the ruling party? And that's why I use him as another reference. We all here will be under attack one day or the other. My prayer to this Senate is that we deem the right to act now, or we forever hold our peace. Because when we begin to go around, nothing is happening today. We begin to go around, we'll all sit apparently and see what will happen. I think it's a gross disrespect to the Senate. It infringes on our constitutional responsibility, and in the discharge of our duty, we are either being threatened or we are being insulted, not just by the ordinary people in the market, but by officials of our government for doing our job.
I submit.
Thank you, Senator. So, anybody want to speak on this? What was that?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Distinguished colleagues. I've heard and Ellis knows concern about how the public officials are attacking legislators for doing their oversight. But unfortunately, we have always asked us to be robust in our oversight. And so, if public officials, especially agents of the executive, can begin attacking legislators for their oversight, it's a great concern. When I wanted that poll a few weeks ago when we came back here for our session and raised the issue in my deliberation, I said that agents of the executive attacking senators and not senators but all stakeholders in our country has a security implication. What this scenario is doing is bringing tension in the country.
Following us, good morning, good evening. It's always good joining the conversation from where you are on this wonderful, wonderful day. You know, so, and these are areas that we must critically look at. And so, Honorable Amakona stated that he said the preventive health services continue to receive minimum support while administrative costs are rising at a faster rate than direct service delivery. The trend, he said, weakening the entire health system. In education, Honorable Connor said that although the sector US 132.9 million allocation represents a modest increase, at least on the added, the gains are uneven and do not reflect the balanced national growth. What he observed that is more than 60% of the sector budget remains concentrated at the University of Liberia and Central Peru. So most of the money in education goes to the University of Liberia and talk about Peru. With early childhood education receiving only 20,000 and basic education showing a decline compared to 2024 levels. So he said there are a couple of things that he needs to talk about, and he also expressed concern over the security sector rapid expansion. The fiscal year draft budget allocates in US 1.51.8 million to the rule of law, security institution, no, you do, you hold this thing up. I mean, I still do put it on here, you did something you flooded.
These people that has been abused or disrespected by agents of the executive has their own constituents and their own followers. If they feel disrespected, their followers feel disrespected, and they are members and citizens of our country. But unfortunately, we need to de-escalate these things. There is something in security called early warning.
Yes, sir.
And early warning is kicking in here. People are getting disenchanted, people are complaining, and by the project under your leadership, if nothing is done, it may bust up to something different and there'll be a crisis. Crisis doesn't happen in isolation. There are persistent activities that lead to crisis. People get disenchanted, people complain, and if nothing is being done, crisis erupts. So Madam President, as chair of the National Security Committee to the Senate,
And under that situation, this situation has a serious security implication, and we need to de-escalate it now on the administration. Thank you.
We said the last time the executive have done theirs,
But
instead of draft before them, but they are complaining more than the work they're doing. Why not they shift in the direction they want?
Of all the criticism, American did not get criticized, but he
Sure.
gave a roadmap.
Sure.
And he said in his criticism, he said, we still got time.
Obviously.
We still got time because it is not late. Get the budget done. Let's see. Look at the thematic area. Look at the area.
He recognized that there were improvement or increment. He recognized that in a lot of the areas. That's great.
Even he said some of the areas, but he did not just outrightly criticize. Even some of the areas he talked about are modest increments. But there were areas that he critically looked at, and you were able to say something like security. If you look at the security budget, you talk about education. He said yes, there was a little bit of increment in it. Yet he said that although the sector in education they got 132.9 million in the draft, who knows it will increase. If the critically look at it and scrutinize it, he said education represent a modest increasement in at least.
Sure.
Again, are uneven and do not reflect balanced national growth.
Sure.
We observe that more than 60% of the sector budget remain concentrated at the University of Liberia. This budget are allocated to for education. More, you talk about more.
Yeah, you say education in bulk.
Yeah.
But more of the numbers that allocated to education go to the University of Liberia. And you see early childhood education. The Ministry of Education talking about this school feeding programs and all of those issues. And talking about renovations of government schools around the country. So it's important, and it is good that they themselves have recognized that these factors really exist. One thing I want to point to, in this budget, the MCSS, remember they never had this amount, and there were a lot of conspiracy, misappropriation there. So now we're hearing this increment. We hope that they can be able to manage this process. And the issue of people who are hands have been caught in the cookie's jar, we should not let them just go.
Yeah.
Go see what's happening. And these increment in the areas that are focused on.
The MCSS is projected in the draft budget to receive 7.2 million.
7.2.
Several rural counties struggle with allocation under 100,000. So he cautioned that they continue on investment in vocational and technical education will leave Liberia without a skilled workforce needed to support economic competitiveness.
Obviously.
Obviously. Because we'll have people coming to invest in our country, we will not have the skills. Then you see unemployment. Because we have to invest in these institutions. So when people come, you have people who are already prepared and ready to have the skills to deliver. Because it's not just going to school and graduating. Because some of the education people are acquiring, look, when telling institutions come to Liberia, it's wasteful. You will just be passing around.
You don't have
to be educated man, and you can't get the kind of job to do because the kind of skill the poor one you might have, you just don't have it. Now, when he spoke about somewhere very key, and this is cardinal, he came to this fire where people are so concerned, and up to this time that's true. The senator also expressed his concern over the security sector rapid expansion. In the draft fiscal budget of 2026, they allocated 151.8 million to rule of law, security institutions, representing 38% increase from 2024.
You see a jump?
With the Judiciary, Ministry of Justice, NSA together receiving more than 117 billion. So Senator Connor, he questioned whether the growth align with the country's broader development priorities. That's why he said we don't need large security. We need smarter, efficient, and well-equipped trained.
You're talking about rule of law in itself. Then you take the judiciary, you take justice, you take national security, and give them 117. Well, what really we're talking about? Because if you look at 117 to 151, that's more than half of that number to just these institutions. And though security is a very cardinal and important issue
But how are we? And we need to find specific amount going to institution, Ambassador. Though we're hearing a bulk amount of the institution going on, we want to know specific amount, because mind you, at the end of the day, we hear the very institution crying say we never receive the amount we expected. Whereas Liberia will hear this increment. Imagine 38% increase for 2024. That's a very big jump. But where are we directing it? In the security sector, in the rule of law. We have to direct it to a specific area.
Are we training men? What, you know, that,
yeah.
Are we on a thread that we need to? So we are not saying that these people do not, because we always advocate, but if the money goes there and don't reflect in the physical morphology or in the lives of our men and women who are in service, then the essence of it being there. So are we going there to buy cards?
You see,
are we, because we see,
are we going to buy uniform ammunition?
Yeah.
To come and pack it? Are we going to recruit more men again? We have them in the barracks around here, then they start to complain.
We recruit them and wait for 3-4 months before we put it on payroll.
We have to know. They have to point to a specific issue. It's good that the lawmakers are even pointing out these things. And Ambassador said something last time. The lawmakers at the level of the Senate saw this thing, and that's what they said. They want separate budget hearing.
And don't forget that he's chairman on public account and audit.
Yeah.
And former finance minister. So he's speaking from an informed background.
No, I'm not a financial expert.
And this is when people say you know something, this is how you come in.
Sure.
And not to jump the gun or to preempt.
Because, like you mentioned earlier on, Ambassador, I'm seeing the House of Representatives, they go on and are cheering play.
Oh, they put a kindergarten chair.
They go on there.
To speak, everybody will stand. Then you see empty seats.
Both of their colleagues are out of the area, and the day they come to finalize the budget, like they ought not be in session, they vote for it. Well, they're never going to be anything. They have not been there to contribute anything.
That they are going there.
But they will vote for the budget. Then when you look at this, they still will be more focused onto specific allocations that will have effect than the greater number that
don't forget, the workforce, civil servants. The workforce remains unchanged at 61,498 full-time equivalent. The compensation is set to increase by US 13.4 million.
You see, this is the workforce talking about. The engine beyond government, the propelling force beyond government. Those are always there to do the work. Like we have said in the past, you look for instance, revenue collecting institutions. They all over the good there. Where the money can come again, we don't know.
And one thing he said, and this is the troubling part, and we said it before, and this is the troubling part. He said what he saw, that he afraid that the inefficiency of the lack of reforms that could help modernize public administration. But this is his fear. He noted that the extended financing now makes up majority of the funding for the rest of the general priority sector, with donors contributing US 313 million out of the 594 million.
That's more than half.
He also cautioned that such dependence undermines national ownership and exposes the country to financial vulnerabilities.
But the folks who are contributing more than half of your budget here in this term of the 504 million, they are going to be suggesting to you. They are going to be controlling you. They're going to be telling you what you want. You see, we are seeing projects in town parks. Do we need hand pumps in the towns and villages? Is that what we want? Do we need school buildings there? Do we need power hut? Do we need markets? We need to control the external financial process makeup that will have positive effect on our people. It's not about this. And one thing I said about I covered for him, he talked about reforms. If we follow the old pattern, we will gather the money will go to the institution and will not realize
anything. But that's why he said,
yeah,
he commended the president and that of the former minister for achieving what he called a historic increase in the national fiscal.
Obviously.
But he urged them, however, that the expanded resources be used in a way that advance equitable, inclusive development and strengthen Liberia's long-term economic reliance. And he plans to continue providing what he described as principled, non-partisan guidance to his colleagues at the Senate and review the draft budget. You know?
We need to. There are a lot of issues need to come up in this place to have effect. Because if you look at the National Security Agency, the Executive Protective Service, they're collecting 31 million.
31.2.
Yeah. Then when you look at GFK, Jackson Fiado, Phoebe Hospital, all combined, they're taking 14.77. It's more than that.
So
you see, then you look at GFK will take 9.1, Jackson Fiado take 3.6, and Phoebe take 2.07. Would that still go out the same thing?
Now, then we ask the question: we still be faced with the health challenges.
But what is strong security need that will happen now that will put more money there than the health area?
Maybe somebody will say that all side they never made it. Don't forget the last fiscal year, you know. Somebody said they were not the deputy minister at the time, who was IT minister. Well, he said the budget, because when they called him, look at the budget, he said, no, this is not the budget that was brought before. He said, no, actually, it caused no harm. But we think that these major referral hospitals cannot be receiving these kind of peanuts. We
see massive equipment in other areas than our health sector. You think 3.6 is enough for like Jackson Fiado Hospital? That one of the major referral hospitals in the region there.
But you know,
the Phoebe Hospital, you think the amount there is enough for it? You think even the GFK?
You giving early childhood education 20,000 for a whole year.
Look at that. Even the GFK, you go to JFK today and you allocate the 9.1. Is it enough? Why not we cut some of these areas down and focus?
You see, we continue to state, though it has not been like this.
We agree.
It's still little.
Sure.
We still need to augment. Let's look at some area. Look, there are areas of priorities which help.
We giving huge equipment.
I would maybe the poor had the information from us. Maybe we want to try that people about to attack or that want to give them money. Then they need to tell us.
Then you tell us.
So we can start preparing.
And again, we should not sit here and see what happened the last time. You know, under the then speaker, Jonathan Franti-Kofa, we saw serious issues, serious lapses. We saw the budget that was signed by the president. We saw the one that the speaker had were different. We had our issues. And there was serious noise. We don't want to see this thing happen again. On a serious note, if we are saying that we are pointing to these issues that will help,
you talk about war and economic crime, you're allotting 2 million. You talk about cases that people got. You talk about 6 million, 10 million, then you say 2 million.
Yeah.
To go chase people who got 5 million reportedly.
Yeah.
You take peanut to fight a millionaire.
You see, we agree that we are increasing, but our focus at specific point is important. You see, now you understood that the war economic crime would have been crying a few times to the president's executive order. The 2 million that they had there were issued. Now they said 500,000 should come as a preliminary activities upon the 2 million. They still crying to today that folks, Liberians who are looking at direction are sacrificing. What is the national case for it? And we're hearing the old WCC, they are saying that by the next year, 1 year from now, between the period of November, we should have the economic crime code set up. By 2027, around November, between that period, we should have the war economic crime code set up. That is, either we have our first case hearing, we have a process started up on it. But are we paying the money to support the process? Because we will also delay in those areas. At the end of the day, we see ourselves going backward. While we are increasing money in security, we keep increasing money with NSA, EPS, and all the areas. At the end of the day, we see other areas still struggling the same way. We cry on education. We see the money we allocate to education. We still see education struggling.
In the budget,
Healthcare, we see it struggling.
They also proposed 2.3 million for the asset recovery and property retrieval tax bill, a body responsible for tracing and reclaiming stolen public assets. So
now people who run it behind more than the money here.
The first report you heard the kind of figure in it.
You see that?
The kind of properties that they show us.
The money said that behind Finabono alone were folks, even the money.
You got bound the money, the investigation that they did in charge or Nancy, she should face, all of these things. You combine what the investigation, what they reported to the Liberian people during the press conference, you combine the two, you can reach the money that they alleging that she has stolen.
The money,
yeah.
And the money given put a whole behind them.
You talk about 6 million, almost 8 million United States dollars and 800 billion Liberian dollars over the period of time.
It's way
below par.
We have to. And this is where we call on our lawmakers in this area. Because if we have a broader consistency of governance and the justice agenda, we need to focus on our reality.
The CDC said the budget is unrealistic. In fact, they must send it right back to the executive. So what are you offering? They are a roadmap.
Well, you got lawmakers there.
Yes.
What are they saying about the budget?
They're staring down the horse downstairs.
Yeah.
The other people also critiquing and thinking certain.
Sure.
Why the chairs downstairs?
I told
no
you.
wonder why when the chair is staring, when you say the other. No wonder why they put it down there.
I told you, I said, the reason why the Senate said they will not do the thing jointly, they come to support because a more 73 men.
One man was there, I know one man, you were jet people.
Why they talking about the budget of JFK? One man will carry his
you don't know what
with t-shirt, maybe behind it.
Then what they call there, you got one man who they call him now, speaker, take it back.
Take it back.
I don't know what happened to your voice.
Take it back. No, they can be arguing to say, with other people in there, so like, at the end result, the voice go with
with reality, let me tell you something. Leadership, in part of our leadership. Nobody, I'm not lacking, he's not lacking the ability, but you see leadership, it comes with some authority in terms of the voices.
Yes!
The speaker, let me tell you, the speaker voice, some high authority, so the man listen to him. For talking. Nobody, I'm telling you, but you're not going to wake every day. Why would the first be worse than I every day?
I'm just Valentine. Every time you say something, the poor quiet on my voice. Every time.
Yeah, take it back.
And the minute you spell man. So many than I know. When we argument come out, the man between activity, take it back, nobody listen to him.
Yeah.
She's a female lawmaker and organ between that who's that in there.
See the empty seats. The other person move on another seat, they go say, you argue like you know the seat, no money that you can sit in. Because you see empty seat, just jumping from one seat to another.
You see that man, the last time the former speaker Kofa entered the parliament there, went to a court, he's just shaking everybody's hand. You go back enter the place, they say the men wear t-shirt and dress, that's not ball. That's how you say you both can wear the coat suit, you wear the robe.
Listen to them.
The kids with your hand.
Listen to them. Everybody stood up to put a hand up.
Director. Foreigners. I was standing on the principle of the law that people who do not meet certain bare minimum legal requirement or qualification cannot occupy government offices. In fact, I was jovially referred to as Wabodigi. By the time I raised my hand here, the whole Senate would laugh, Wabodigi. But I told them, distinguished colleagues, I was in opposition in effective force when CDC led the Senate. But we pushed in line with our oversight. For the reason, peace be to the artists, to be denied Senate confirmation. No, I want to. No way. The person who get this serious, I want to don't take us seriously. Honestly. Yeah, please. But distinguished colleagues, Toga Nimlet was named designated chair to head LERC, the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission. He was CDCN under a CDC gavel. We led the Senate to reject him. Marapotem, Dalito Kale was nominated by President Weah, a CDCN under a CDC gavel. Our Senator Taylor, we led that man rejection in the Senate. We were opposition. Marapotem, distinguished colleagues, for 3 years, I did not vote for the budget on the record because I was demanding domestic debt list. Once they are here, never they win here.
You see, look, let me be frank with you. I don't know that the era in Barcelona, the Senate, they are very mature.
Yeah, they say horse of wisdom.
But Representative, that a lot of white people are being elected in that area. Sometimes these folks will just be on noise. And they will not understand. They just pass things.
And you know about the painful part of it? The painful part of it, some of the lawmakers who actually know the full purpose why they're there. It's painful.
Yeah.
When they see their colleagues, they know they cannot follow. They know they got obligation to the district. They know that people elected them, they did not take themselves to other. But the way some of the folks can be shouting, jumping from one seat to another, you know, you can't get anything out of them. At the end of the day, people just put all of them in one basket.
All of them in one subset. Yeah. And these are the ones who enter the district.
They helpful.
Hey, they are the best lawmakers.
Yeah.
When they're talking about my talk, if others want to beat some posts, what would they stand?
But ain't all men for the opposition,
yeah.
You know me people for that for me. Don't call me my man.
You see?
I'm an honorable man. Okay, let's go to the line this morning. We look at the budget. Amara Connor has critiqued it. And since you have asked that the budget goes back, we listen to Honorable Simon Freeman, who also spoke about the budget. That is unrealistic and all of these things. But I think of all of the criticism, Amara Connor, being from the ruling party of the current government, did not mince his word. But he had a roadmap. He did not get criticized, but we hope that, and Senator DeLong said he agreed with him, because these are the folks who brought this government to power. So, you know, truth telling, when you're in a party, you critique or you criticize, people think that somebody using you. They could tell you the other person, the other person. But let's go to the lines and talk to our caller. Speak to what we discuss. Good morning.
Let me tell you something. People don't want to believe to pay the 75%. You won't able to do that because they are not to see that influence. And the more they delay, the one that can help me. But the corner time for rethinking, all for God's sake, whether that's 2 deals or 3 deals, then you will get equipment pay equal to their extra pay like you get every month. Equipment to, very extra thing. But so they know what they're doing now. They know it. That's the emerald with your signal. You want to delay that you will tell them you want to go for free. They come for rethinking. I mean, want to go for free, then they call them for rethinking. Because that's what they have to start. These are about all for the whole people go one. That you don't need to keep feeling. Or comment was going to be the so that what do we delay? They know what they're doing now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's talk to this caller. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, the two ambassadors.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is Winston and I know you from the road. Let's thank you for the program this morning. We are concentrating on the budget. Yes, indeed, the budget, the issue of the budget is welcoming a tool of 1.2 billion, but there are some critical areas that need to be closely looked at. Like for the health sector, yes, indeed, it is good and correct that the educational sector, the budget raised up for the last budget from 105 million to 139. Yes, it is welcoming. But what we can be looking at is, yes, the budget is huge. How will it be impactful to the cities? Those sectors to improve. Those sectors is the work of the budget, what makes the budget, not just the pronouncement. The University of Liberia, yes, is requesting for the 2 billion in the pool of 44 million. While the president said that significant money to revamp the entire university status. If you can, the Senate to look to that, or the representative get the Liberia to look to that, and at least assure all the university for them to vote that for 2 billion, then at least can go for the benefit of the town to revamp the university so that we can have a good learning environment. So thank you for allowing me to end up you.
Thank you for being there. Let's talk to other callers. You're live.
Yes, good morning, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes, Mr. Master, the budget, what is people doing that day? The budget can make people rich in the country. But what kind of care for make people rich? The budget, they bring it, the carry back, for what?
No, the draft budget, they have not taken it back. They expect the lawmakers to look at the budget and see areas of priorities. That's what people are asking them. But the budget is a draft budget. They have not concluded on it. They have not sent it back. So yet they're going to start looking at it when they see all of the areas, and they will make their own adjustment and send it to the executive.
Yeah, it should. When they so that's the most send it to the doctor, like the hospital. They should add the hospital budget up. The education error. These are the main areas that people respect. The whole sector. So the government is going on to the point. The money is too low for the budget. So that you increase. I think the salary, the money will be fine for us. You see, you have to take everything with it.
Okay, thank you, thank you. 0775 919 919 080 919 the numbers you can call us on to be part of the conversation this morning. Yes, so we are looking at the budget. The budget is still a draft, but we expect people to critically look at it, not just you read it and send it back. Good morning. You live?
Yeah.
No, other people have not talked.
Let's talk to.
Let's give other people the chance, please. Yeah, the lines, people struggling to get. So once you want to call, everything that you want to say, you put it together. You be able to say.
We allow others.
Yeah, you're live.
Good morning, Ambassador.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you. This is Hussein. My name is Hussein Keo. I call from this week. Take up some. I didn't appreciate that, but I told him also that I was on the platform. So in relation to the budget, the executive prepared a budget and sent it to the legislature. That is the committee on ways and finance. When the executive class and we work for the appropriations, the legislature will either re-appropriations, right, for different administrative agencies. Sometimes when I listen to people and talking about the budget, they just focus on the executive. Yeah, the executive class, but to do the common allocations and appropriations.
And that's why we keep telling them to provide an education. It's before the people who are supposed to make sure that things are properly put into place. So, but when we see people jumping to conclusion, political party critiquing the budget, it's a draft budget. The budget has not been passed to say, yeah, let's look at area of priorities. All of these things. So, you want to read a thing, you say they must send it back.
Those who claim to be educated, look at the law because created now already the budget.
Yeah. But you have concluded already. You preempt. You preempt already. The thing is before you. You got the final authority because when you look up, you got the authority before you right now.
For have something like 2 million for the security sector. And if they both put it, they can let us know where to run to 2 million, maybe 1.5. Or for they get 2.5. It's last thing in the hands of the legislature. But then you have not even gone to the budget, you already concluded.
Is it a budget that eating show budget?
Exactly. I'm very about these guys who are educated the board, but we don't feel any. See people walking the river, they don't even know the different procedures, you know, the different processes.
And their lawmakers are sitting in a gathering to make impact in this budget, but they leave it all with the executive.
And you know the people about it, people who are in the opposition, who support, they will not be looking at the lawmaker what impact they will make in student lives in this budget that it be impactful in their lives and the district be developed. But they will be looking at the United Party left government, the young people, the law. They will leave the people who will join the scene, people behind the scene to commit the crime and take themselves out of it. They buy to it. Yes.
You're welcome.
Good morning. You live.
Good morning.
Yeah, go ahead. Please add up. Definitely, we don't talk secret. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the issue expecting our law actually to say
Sorry, you on a very bad line, so let's talk to other callers. Good morning. Hope you can call back.
Good morning, bro. How you doing this morning?
Well, we're okay. Good morning.
This is Father God. Yeah, this is a draft project. People trying to let's say play with it. Do the matter, but they're not even understood. They're not even the draft project back in power. It is there for scrutiny. And then the main part I want the people to look at seriously. The security police. What is 159? And the health workers. Let them look in those two areas. The health workers, the police, and the education, the three, Thank you.
Thank you for being part of the conversation. Let me talk to other callers on the line this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Willie.
Good morning, sir.
In this community, you feel like it's going to before. I think I'm going to try to see the thing over it. But I like it. No, not to our people who representing us, that went in the group us. Let them be able to make out where they think they will do for this country. When they are not there, then for this thing, they know that we need $15. They will look at it, they do not pay. Because they won't have the pass. They don't have the pass the budget. That is there, that's what I give them. And then keeping on that budget and do the thing for us. We are there to represent us. We are not the ones who are for that budget. Anything they say about that budget, we are there. Nobody can say no problem. They say yes. They have to do the work and look at that budget, look at the health sector, look at the agriculture side, look at the education side, and do the needful for us. Thank you for this for me.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you for being.
And we are continuing saying these matters so that they can be start to complain.
Good morning. Yeah. You approve executive money when you put it in the money, then you complain. Yeah. Let's talk to other callers. You live?
Yeah, good morning, Weekie.
Good morning.
This is Cherry Taylor. I'm calling you from Natl.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Weekie, you see, Mr. President, this is our draft budget. It is through the budget to you go through the budget. Is there going all over you call you won't be president? Is it how you be president? And you know, you go through the budget, you see why you like there, you come over, you can even you are not going through the budget, they're going around, put very steep, instead of water spoon, some of the journalists, they they're over the man, and in fact, of one, a post special budget on the start for him, and you know, he try to steal from the Liberian people, and you know, you see, this country, I think, Weekie, some of you guys are doing well for this country, but these guys, some of them, they didn't know what to do in this country, so they just want to do a lot of things. You see, this is our budget that is so reviewed. I was seeing the budget.
Yeah, the opposition political party leader, the Movement for Progressive Change, MPC, Simon Freyon, he has delivered the budget as both empty and scary. And collaborative expulsion of the Liberian people. Yeah.